Okay, so this is a sneak peek. As you can see, it says at the moment this course is not open for enrollment. I'm just working on the putting the page together for the new Fearless Public Speaking program that launches this month, March, if you're watching this in real time. And if you're not watching this in real time, I am so sorry you have missed it, because once we get started, the doors will be closing. They haven't opened yet, but they will be closing once we go live. So there's going to be a button here where you can enroll live. You can enroll, and there'll be a pre-launch price. We'll talk about that when I do a little bit later on when I do the launch event. A little bit about some of the kind of main things we're going to be looking at. So there's the 5-minute blueprint. So how can you go from blank sheet of paper to creating an outline of your workshop in 5 minutes? I know that might sound a little bit outlandish for anyone who's struggled for hours or days or weeks to put a presentation together. And last year I was back at the University of Oxford. I've been coaching and running programs with them for the last couple of years for their fellows, and they asked if I could do a public speaking workshop, which I did. And we did the exercise where I gave people a blank sheet of paper. I set the timer. We had 5 minutes. Every single person completed the exercise, and then I invited some of them to come up on stage and go through what they prepared in the 5 minutes. And you would have thought they'd been working on that for hours. It was fantastic, always is. We're also going to deal with the whole rabbit in the headlights thing. It's one of the big things that people talked about when I did the survey, and learning how to activate left and right brain so you get yourself into the flow state and stay there. Because when you're in the flow state, you've got that left and right brain activation. Everything then starts coming, and the wonderful ideas that you prepared beforehand, they will all come to mind. We're going to, of course, look at fear and anxiety and worry, because one of the big things is people being overwhelmed. And of course, when you're in a fearful state, it's very difficult to think, to speak, and to put on a good presentation. So we'll look at how you can deal with that. And a big one that came up was how to keep your audience engaged. So you're not boring them, you're not losing your audience. So we're going to talk about what I call some of the secret sauce strategies for creating raving fans, delivering value, because that's what you're there to do, and leave your audience like wow and wanting more. So a little bit about the program overall and some of the things that you can expect. Now, this button here, once it's live, this will be, if you click that, the red button here, this will take you to the waiting list page. And then once we're live and launch, you will get a copy of the link to the program. I'm also going to be running a free webinar. I haven't decided yet what the webinar is going to be about, but what I was doing is going through some of the things that people mentioned in the surveys that I'd done in preparing for this workshop. Some of the big things, let me give you a little bit of a taster. So some of the big things, so how to keep the audience engaged. Many people said it takes them ages to learn and remember their presentation. We had how to speak to large audiences, how do you structure material, what can you do when you've been overtaken by nerves and anxiety, fear and confusion around technology, of course, mindset stuff and limiting beliefs, delivering unscripted talks. A couple of people also, well, actually several people in various guises, but some people actually said the words. They were talking about imposter syndrome. That could actually be quite a good one. So I haven't decided yet what the topic of the first live webinar will be, and the first one will be free. So again, if you want to join me for the free webinar, click that red button there, I'm in, to take me to the stage and put yourself on that list, and that's the list that I will use to do the pre-notification. Now, whether you are a seasoned public speaker or just starting out, this masterclass program is designed for you. So, for example, when I was at the University of Oxford, there was someone there who was sitting in. He wasn't one of the students, wasn't one of the fellows. He runs programs himself and was from one of the banks. And so he's one of the sponsors of the program. So he was just sitting in just because. And he came up to me in the break and he says, Marilyn, I've sat in on so many of these things, and oftentimes I'm just glazed over and not even really paying that much attention because, he said, I've been engaged the whole time. You've actually shared some tips and strategies that I'm going to be putting into practice. And then at the end of it, he had questions for me and was sharing all of the new information that he had learned. Even though it's his job, he does it. And so with regards to that being I recently signed up for three different programs. They're all, of course, looking at slightly different subjects. But even with my skills, I'm putting myself back into the position of being a student and being coached, because from my perspective, this is a skill that you can continue to learn and enhance and get even better at, and learning from different people and learning different aspects. So we'll of course be going through the basics, and I absolutely know that for those of you who are already public speakers, there will still be a lot that you can learn and take away from this. There's a bit about, the program, how to access it. And all of that sounds fabulous and wonderful, but there's a problem oftentimes, because often people think they're going to DIY it and do it themselves. They are going to force themselves into speaking and presenting. That means you often show up and it's like a white knuckle ride where you just want to get it over with, and that's not delivering the best for you or your audience or your clients. And one of the things people often do is over prepare and stress themselves out. And there really is an easier way than going down the black hole of fear, worry, and anxiety, etc. And your reluctance to speak is probably costing you quite a lot. So the question is, are you in the 77% or are you in the 23%? When you have a look at this page, you will see exactly what I'm talking about here. And if you're in the 77%, you might want to shift and move. So there's a bit about that. Now, after completing this program, and again, just some sound bites, not going into massive amounts of detail because this page would be like 2 million pages long. But after completing this program, some of the things you'll get definitely is the what I call the rinse and repeat strategy for designing an attention grabbing presentation outline within minutes. You'll have the freedom of getting rid of the nerves, the anxiety, and having a technique to deal with the rabbit in the headlight syndrome, and being able to do that within seconds once you know what the technique is. Also, of course, it's about honing your presentation and public speaking skills so that you can feel relaxed on stage and have the tools to keep your audience engaged. And having the confidence to say yes to speaking opportunities when they arise, rather than hiding from them, avoiding, turning them away. And there was someone who filled out one of the surveys, and they said, for example, they were invited to speak at their university and they turned it down. There are other people, and some of the stats for some of this are in here as well on this page, who will turn down job opportunities and turn down promotion opportunities because they suspect or know that it will involve an element of public speaking. And oftentimes that is not public speaking on stage, that is simply having to speak to your team, leading a team of people, chairing or running meetings or committees, and people have turned down the opportunity to progress in their work and career because of the fear of public speaking and presenting. So I would say, particularly as how the landscape has changed, because Zoom and Microsoft Teams, for example, they are now putting people in the spotlight who previously would have been hiding away. So it is a part of our daily lives, whether you like it or not. So if you are someone who stares at the blank sheet of paper, or who is looking at the blank screen, taking ages to get started when preparing presentations, putting them together, deciding how to structure it, what are you going to say, what should be included, what needs to be left out, we can help alleviate and solve all of that, as I said, within minutes. So I would say, if that's you, the time really is now to get on board with this. These prices and numbers, etc., will change. These are just the kind of the beginning structures, but it's a bit about what you get. We've got the live video webinar workshops. You're going to have the quick reference modules as well. So there'll be the full workshop. We're either going to run it as one day, or half days, or maybe 3 kind of shorter blocks. So I've just emailed everyone who was in that first 10 group just to ask what your preference is and get some dates from you. But what we'll do also, as well as having the longer training where we're fully immersed and actually coming out at the end of that with a presentation, what I'll also do is put some shorter modules in there. So let's just say, for example, you're like, oh my gosh, XYZ has happened, or I'm doing a talk and there's an open Q&A. I don't know how to deal with audience questions, because you can't plan 100% for audience questions because you don't know what the audience are going to say, unless on those rare occasions where questions have been submitted in advance. But don't let that fool you, because the questions you get are still not necessarily the ones you're going to answer. So for example, if that was a scenario, you might just go straight to the module about how to effectively deal with audience questions. Or somebody has mentioned heckling, for example. That's one of the things that they're fearful of. Somebody is heckling. So I hadn't planned to do a module on that actually, but I could do. But it might be, for example, you say, okay, I'm scared of hecklers. If that were to happen, what can I do? And you just go straight to that module. It'll be a couple of minutes. So you go in, get what you need, and come back out again. There's also going to be live group Q&A sessions, and several sessions for those in the VIP, and one group Q&A session for those in the kind of basic sort of program. There'll be the bonus PDF guides, bonus mini masterclasses, private coaching session for those doing the VIP version, lifetime access for those doing the VIP version. So you can always come back and refer to this material, and the accountability portal if you would like it, because there is a system I have which can send you little reminders, and you can set it so that I can see, if you want me to, some of the things that you've committed to do, and then I can check. we can help your progress that way. And then there's the more stripped down version of it as well, where you get the live video webinar, you get the quick reference modules, you get one group Q&A session. So get your questions together, anything you want to ask me about public speaking, presenting, events, etc. You'll get 2 bonus PDF guides, and you'll get 12 months access. So the VIP, you get everything and all the bonus guides, etc., and lifetime access. But sometimes people might want to go for a smaller package. So I've got a couple of pricing options, but this one here, there's going to be a pre-launch price, and then we'll go into the launch price. So that's that really. I'm just about to write the course summary, a little bit about me. There's an interview that I did. So there was an article in the London Evening Standard. So I've put a link to that there if you want to go and have a read. And I was talking about how I got over my fear of public speaking. And for those of you who don't know and have never met me before, I was terrified of public speaking right up until the age of 32. So if you're thinking you can't do it, it's a skill that you're either born with or you're not, I'm here to tell you that's not true. And people often say, oh yes, but I'm an introvert, for example. In terms of the MBTI, the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, I am off the chart introvert. So don't let those common excuses stop you and get in the way. But there's a bit about that. You can read a bit about that in the Evening Standard piece. Couple of few client testimonials here. And Rachel, for example, actually she did the very first iteration of the Fearless Public Speaking workshop. It's just a one-day workshop, and Rachel did that January 2020, and she sent me a message saying, I spent the day with you. Now I was on holiday, so I was sitting by the pool drinking my mocktail in my bikini because it was lovely weather. We were in Gran Canaria, and I was reading something on my iPad, like a little a book, and a message popped up, and I saw Rachel said, she said, I spent the day with you. And I actually looked around and thought, oh my gosh, is Rachel and her family here? So I'm looking around the resort, couldn't see them, but of course, a lot of people. So I sent a message back, and what do you mean? And she said, I've just been doing the Fearless Public Speaking workshop. So while I'm on holiday, she is where she lives in the UK, taking herself through the video webinar workshop. I'll read you what she said. It might be a little bit small if you're on your device. So she said, for those of you who were asking me about my big talk in January and shared my joy that I was so happy with how it had gone, Marilyn Devonish is the awesome lady that enabled me to breathe, think, and talk all at the same time. And now you can do it too. And that's Rachel CK. Some of you may know her. She does the aromatherapy. She's also the bath butler, and if she does the doTERRA oils. And if you follow her on social media, you will know that she's now regularly running workshops, does loads of Facebook Lives, way more Facebook Lives than I've got time to do. And what was really lovely is when she had a radio show later that year, I was one of her very first guests on her radio show. So this is a skill you can learn. And I know Natasha, when we first worked together, I was saying to her, you'll get to a stage where you'll love being on stage. And she was like, I don't think so, Marilyn. And now, if you follow Natasha Waldron, she absolutely loves it. Erica Brodnott was terrified of public speaking, was invited to do a TED talk. If you've seen Erica speak, my God, she is good. When she's on stage, she's often the best person in the room. Amazing. So this is a skill that you can absolutely learn. I put a little bit here about myself. Actually, I need to change that picture. It's way out of date. So, but a little bit about me, some of the things I've done. I've also added one of my live TV appearances. This was one I did a couple of weeks ago, if you're watching this in real time. And I was speaking on the Vanessa Feltz show. And oftentimes you don't really get any notice. Sometimes I'll get a message a couple of minutes before going, hey, this story's just broken. We're going to do a segment on this. Are you free? Now, on this occasion, I had a couple of hours notice. But even a couple of hours notice, there'll be many people, if you said to them, can we have you on live television in 2 hours' time? Many people would freak out. And if you're somebody who would freak out, this program is definitely for you, because I will be sharing with you how you can go from freaking out to actually really enjoying it. Now, of course, I'm not freaking out. Whether I've got 2 minutes or 2 hours is neither here nor there to me. I'll do it and I'll be happy to do it. So the joy you see on my face is real. And if you'd said that to me while I was still fearful of public speaking, that I would do I'd be on live radio, on live TV at the drop of a hat, I would have laughed you out of town. And now it is one of my most favorite things to do. And this is one of my favorite subjects to teach and to coach on. And I've been teaching and coaching public speaking, presentation skills, running corporate workshops for the last 20 years. I love it. It is wonderful to see people's lives change. And this is not just about those running workshops, doing presentations. This is a life skill. This is a life skill. And it is one that just opens up so many possibilities. So yeah, you might be just using it for meetings and networking and committee meetings and all of that sort of stuff. But just think about it. Every interaction, every conversation, if you can improve your public speaking skills, your communication skills, your ability to connect with people, your ability to seriously move people with your words. And sometimes it's not even your words, it's what you don't say. It is such a beautiful, powerful, life-changing skill. So if you would like to join us, we'd love to have you on board. Easiest way, and of course, depending on where you're watching this video, if it's on Facebook, I'll put something in the comments when I've set up the webinar. If you're on YouTube, it will be in the description below. But one of the easiest ways, once this is all set up, I'll add it to my website, which is www.transformationstm.com, TRANCE, F for Freddie, so FORMATIONS, so transformationstm.com, TM as in trademark, and click the red What's New button. A panel will slide out, and then just scroll down. You'll find the link to this when it's ready. But at the moment, as I said, I'm just in setup mode, so nothing is ready as yet for launch. This is just your first sneak peek at what is coming. And I would absolutely love to have you join us, whether you're just getting started, whether you're a seasoned public speaker, and if this is not for you, but you know someone who could benefit from this program, please, please, please share it with them. That would be amazing. And it's, oh, somebody says they're so excited for me. I have to see what that's about. Oh yeah, oh, they're saying they're so excited I'm about to launch this program. That's very cool. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So if you know someone else who could benefit from this, please do let them know, because once the doors open, there'll be a set time, and then the doors will close again, and that will be your last opportunity to attend. And some of you who have followed me for a few years will know that there are times where I run a program, it is amazing and life-changing, and I never run it again. So if you're the sort of person who goes, when's the next one? there is no plan for a next one. With the transformation program, for example, that was freaking mind blowing. So I ran it, I think, what we know, that probably be about 10, 12 years ago. I then opened it up just because it's quite intense. I opened it up for 2 people a couple of years later. And I think I opened it and had 1 person a couple of years after that. But pretty much last 6, 7, 8 years, never returned. So don't take it for granted that you'll be able to catch the next one, because there may not be a next one. We will see how the schedule goes. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for joining me on this virtual tour. I look forward to working with those of you who would like to join us, and thank you in advance to everyone who shares this. Very much appreciated. Marilyn Devonish, over and out for now.